The Samsung S95B has dropped in price yet again. I saw it as low as $13.99. Now, unfortunately, I did not grab a screenshot before the price went right back up to $14.47, but it's going to likely drop again down to $13.99. Now, why does this matter? This matters because here we are in 2023, and a lot of folks are seeing these deals in a time where things are generally more expensive. That leads the question, is it worth it still, though, to buy after all of Samsung's shenanigans with the firmware? I don't care who you are at this point. I think we all pretty much know Samsung basically made the TV worse with their updates. More or less, that's generally what everybody has been experiencing. Now, I've been one of the loudest people about this, and I'm glad to see others like Digital Trends sounding off about it. Even if it's in a devil's advocate kind of way, we still need to talk about these issues. But again, for many, that put them off. But for some, they still are looking at it like, well, listen, if it's still worth it comparatively to everything on the market, is it really such a bad television? And my response on this is basically yes and no. It's a phenomenal TV. I still think on the market right now, you really can't buy any TV that looks quite as good as the Samsung S95B because the market just doesn't have anything outside of the A95K maybe. And I say maybe because Sony has legendary motion artifacts. People try to say that Sony is the best for motion, but that just is no longer the case. They've really got to go back to what made them great back in 2017 on TVs like the Sony X900E. Now, all that being said, we can kind of look at something a little bit more realistic, though, happening, where it's just basically two QD OLED competitors, A95K and S95B for basically this point in the year. Keyword, this point in the year. Later on, they're going to be launching new QD OLEDs. And that's the part where I say it's not really worth it to buy now. Because why should you settle right now for firmware that made your TV look worse so that newer TVs could shine and look better? In my opinion, that's what they did. Don't know if that's accurate, but that's what I think, okay? And then in the end, you could get a better TV day one with a newer product and have newer features like the Auto HDR remastering, which I myself am super looking forward to. That's kind of where this goes into a direction of being very confusing. And for some, it may feel like people who are actively following this situation are flip-flopping even, because on the one hand, we tell you it's a great TV, and then in the next videos, we're telling you it's not so great. But you have to understand, in the world of information and science, everything is ever changing. So one day Samsung's patch will have it looking fantastic, and the next, as you've seen, brightness gets nerfed and then we get motion issues that we didn't have before. So we have to update this information. Now, what I think one should do is kind of strategically take a step back from all of the tech jargon, all of the confusion of hype and all that nonsense of social media, and ask yourself objectively, are you really after the absolute pinnacle, or are you after a great TV that's an upgrade from where you are? These are two very important questions that I rarely see people ask themselves. So what I mean by this is if you have like a Samsung from like 3-4 years ago, or maybe even something a little bit older or a lot older, you want to ask yourself, are you looking to significantly upgrade from where you are and that's what you're after, or are you looking to be on the cutting edge of things? Because if you're not really looking for a cutting edge TV, you don't necessarily need to wait around for the next television to come out. You can get an S95B, it'll destroy everything in your household and you're done, right? And I think that's really where the conversation comes into also you saving money, because then you'll get a good deal on the product because it's older and not a lot of people are talking about it, and there's controversy around the product because of what has happened with the updates and stuff like that. So now you get a good deal because now it'll be harder to move units for people. And I think as long as you keep it offline on the day one firmware, you should be good for the most part. Now, for me personally, I personally am going to wait for the newer model because I want to be on the cutting edge. But that's me as a consumer with the heavy usage of gaming, and I'm just a greedy color whore if I am being completely honest. If it's very visually appealing, that's what I'm after in a television. Not to say that the S95B can't do that. It totally can, but I try to take it to another level with what I try to do, and I feel like the newer implementation might be able to do that a little bit better with the extra brightness that was taken away with firmware updates. But again, everybody arrives at a different conclusion, and so all I'm trying to do here is give you options, again, in your buying conquest. If you have questions, I hold a live stream Fridays, 7 p.m. through 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to try to help answer most of them. Can't usually get to all of them, but I do what I can kind of thing. So if you have questions that stay lingering through the week, definitely stop by. And if you're a channel member, make sure you stop over to the member exclusive community tab where I give you all of the tidbits and information and answer questions and stuff like that exclusively to you guys as kind of like a perk of being a member. So again, I just want to make sure we're covering our bases with this because I know it gets very confusing as QD OLED is ever expanding and it's going to continue to grow in the market. I'll do another video in the future talking about the future growth and what we're going to look for in the market in the coming years, but that's maybe at a later time. But that being said, I want to know what you guys thought about this video in the comment section down below. And as always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. The #1 brand in honesty. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.